Pandemonium is a popular side-scrolling platformer game that was released for the PlayStation in 1996 and would be published by Crystal Dynamics, which would also see releases on the Sega Saturn and Windows PC, and even later on early mobile systems way back in the mid-2000s. While the game uses 3D visuals for the environments and the characters and all of the features within, the game plays from a 2.5D perspective, very similar of typical old-school platformers like Super Mario, Sonic the Hedgehog and the like, where you have to run and jump and climb platforms in order to reach different environments and collect items of interest to reach the end goal. But the main emphasis really is moving left and right on screen, so you don't have the full freedom like you do in other 3D platformers where you can move around the entire map in a full 3D space. While there is limitations on it, the game is very fast paced and frantic, and you have the use of abilities and power-ups to aid on your quest. The game would end up being extremely popular to a point that it would also receive a sequel with Pandemonium 2 in 1997. These games would also be known as Miracle Jumpers in Japan, so that'll tell you the names were often weird regarding the regions that they were released in. Developers often had a very unusual agenda around the names that they would give these games, so I think Pandemonium was more fitting to the experience, in fairness. So when you're playing through the game, either you use power-ups, they are limited in quantity, so you'll have to acquire resources in order to gain enough ammunition to reuse them, but the majority of the time you'll be jumping on enemies and bouncing on their heads in order to defeat them. But you must also jump and use the double jump feature to jump higher, grab onto ledges and collect the many power-ups that you'll need in order to complete the objectives for the level, but also to aid in defeating some of the level bosses and puzzles, and even avoiding a lot of the obstacles and traps that you will face in this game. Because make no mistake, it is fast paced, it is frantic, it is a lot of fun, but it is tricky, frustrating and challenging all at the same time, and you will die a lot. Let's just get that out of the way. But there's enough replay value here that each level, there's loads of different ways in which you can approach the level. If you want to take your time, if you want to speed through it, but there's even some hidden secrets throughout the levels to gather other resources as well. So if you take the time, you'll find a load of hidden tricks and gems that you wouldn't have gotten before. So when we look at the plot of the game, you see our two characters using the Book of Magic to create spells, mainly because they're bored, but what ends up happening is that they end up utilising too many spells or the wrong spells, and which results in monsters or demonic creatures being brought in from another world and invading the land and taking over your village and killing a lot of people. So your goal is literally to try and stop the madness and to literally put an end to everything that you've caused, which will take you on your adventure. When the game was released, now in saying that, it did get mixed but yet positive reviews at the same time, depending on which magazines reviewed the game. Some thought the game was excellent, while others found the game to be a bit too frustrating for it to be enjoyable. Even the Saturn version, when it released sometime later, was also well received, and I think mainly because of the fact is that the Saturn also had the ability to favour 2D aspects in terms of gameplay over 3D. While it did do 3D quite well, it just didn't do it as well as the PlayStation, but where the Saturn excelled was definitely in its 2D gameplay. Now I know Pandemonium used 3D graphics, but the fact is that it used 2D gameplay elements. It would have thrived on the Saturn, hence why it got good reviews. Yeah, it's a fun game. Like I said, it's challenging. It will test your patience. It's reflective of its time, and it definitely will appeal to fans of old school platformers and of that dynamic. Even when I look back at playing the game myself, I remember a friend of mine had it and he got it for Christmas one year and he would take it over to the house. Now, he played it a little bit, and even though I didn't play it as much, I thought it was a lot of fun. And one of my younger brothers, now he wouldn't have been as big into playing video games as such. The only games he really would have played would have been the likes of Rayman or even the Crash Bandicoot games, which he owned Crash Bandicoot 2. But he did really like Pandemonium. It was one of the games out of that category that he did play and enjoy. So like I said, it does definitely appeal to a certain dynamic. But with that being said, whatever opinions I have of the game, I would love to hear your thoughts of it, and what did you think of Pandemonium overall? Is it a game that you would have enjoyed back in the day, or did you avoid it? So be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you would like to see more content around other types of games similar to Pandemonium that were also released on the PlayStation back in the day, which there were a few of them to be honest, then you can check out this playlist here on screen to see a lot more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.